Hi, it's Andy from Atkinson Physiotherapy, and hopefully you've seen some of the other videos I've targeted for the running community. This next one is a great exercise which is one of my favourites for incorporating good quad and hip and glute control for running. And you don't need a lot of equipment. If you've got something like this, like a step, if you've got access to, whether you've got a portable step or your step at home. Okay, so what we want to look at is what the knee is doing in relation to your hip. So a great exercise, some people call it, it's a bit like a reverse step down. Okay, so what we want to do is almost like a reverse step or a reverse kind of lunge type of movement. But it should be within the control parameters of pain. If you get in pain, you shouldn't be just cracking on and doing it. Maybe get assessed from somebody like me or a physio first before you start letting loose with this. But also if you're pain free generally and you want to add it into a strength and conditioning program, then it's a great one to do. So if we have a look at what the glute med is supposed to do, so that part of your hip muscle which really helps to stabilize your knee position when you're landing and when you're running. Okay, so we incorporate a bit of glute med activity, but also a little bit of quad activity, which is really important for runners. Okay, so, and there's loads of different progressions of this exercise which I'm going to put on YouTube channel and progressions of this over the weeks ahead. So the level 1 exercise entry of coming in at this is using a step. I've got my leg on my step, so it's the right leg I'm training in this position. So if I was to step up into this position and do a reverse lunge and just tap the foot down and bring it back, you can see in this position here where I'm working the quad muscle and then coming back up. But what we see common errors with this is people reverse lunge and they'll start dropping at the hip here. Yeah, so we've dropped, we've tilted, or we're caving in, these kind of movements. So it's a controlled, slow exercise. So you're focusing on predominantly where your t-shirt line is or where the front bony parts of your hip. So you're only moving into a reverse lunge as far as you're happy. This is where a mirror is great for feedback if you've got it, or you're happy that you can control as you go through a reverse lunge. So I'm starting to bend the knee, the foot is going to tap behind and coming back up. If I was to drop in at say this point, then I maybe just do a small movement where I can just control there without dropping, tap, come back up. Yeah, so I'm just controlling, hips are staying nice and straight and coming back on. Yeah, if you need to put the foot back down on the step, that's fine. If you want to build up that endurance factor, it's here. So I'm dropping, but I'm coming down as well. So if you can add a little bit of lean through the trunk, yeah, show you from the side a little bit. So it's that kind of drop and a lean through the trunk back up. And as you drop and keep the hips level and lean through the trunk and tap, you should be feeling the glute med working rather than just going up and down. So try to kind of keep the hips level, but kind of little bit bend from your trunk, tap, back up, so you're keeping those level if you can. Great exercise, very easy to do. You can increase the height of the step if your step allows it as a progression, so you incorporate a little bit height. Okay, it's best to be done with the step rather than just on the floor, so it gives you that sensation of a step down movement. Okay, so we're looking at, it's a great quad activity, but we're looking at keeping the hips level rather than a drop. Okay, nice and straight, nice and controlled, tap, back up, so it's controlling the hip, and your hip muscles here will help to prevent knee problems if you can get those nice and conditioned. So a nice little progression with that. You could use two options. Power band, it's quite easy to get hold of. Really useful, long resistance bands. These are quite a nice entry point if you want to progress it before you add in maybe a dumbbell weight if you wanted. Yeah, so I'll show you with the band as a progression. If it's the leg you're training, so in this instance it's my right leg, I'm going to loop the band under the foot, and what I'm going to do is pop it on the same shoulder, so it's on that band and on that same shoulder. So I'm starting in this kind of position here again, yeah? So again, I don't want hips to drop, that's your teaching point straight, but this will add resistance to the movement. So in this position here, I can feel tension through the band, through the leg, as I look to keep the hips straight and begin to drop the leg and tap my left leg behind, keeping the hips straight. Then I can feel that resistance change in the band. So as I drop, I'm getting no tension, keep that knee nice and straight, keep the hips level, up, and I can feel more tension as I'm coming back up. Okay, so that's the progression with the band on the same side as the leg. You can say, add in more of that dumbbell component if your control is really good. So I can use a weight in each hand, and again, keeping the hips level, reverse lunge, so unlock the knee, bending from the trunk, back up straight. And if I do wobble and drop in, then I maybe want to just control that through some smaller movements back. Okay, so the knee is really only moving through that kind of movement. Okay, so hopefully you find that useful, and I'll add in some more progression tips of this exercise over the weeks ahead.